Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glassboro, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Biden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glassboro, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811. PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
Oh, how I'm longing for the day when I'm back at Orchid Bay, where the silver water glistens in the sun.
When is the last time you raced a small boat across wide open water? Tired of snow, traffic jams, cold weather? You need a refreshing change of scenery, a world away. The Bahama Islands have vacation rental homes and apartments. Enjoy spectacular nature in the Abacos Islands. Enjoy refreshing Caribbean beauty, fishing, snorkeling, scuba, the beach. www.enjoyabaco.com. That's ABACO. Enjoyabaco.com.
As I sail across the sea of Abaco, the smiling comes, I know. Only one more mile to go.
Enjoyabaco.com.
Now hear this. Man your battle stations.
The Obama attack on our Constitution continues. Log on to INRASuperPAC.com and join J.D. Benier and Christina Lamb and hundreds of Reagan conservative commandos who demand our country return to its founding documents and principles. We are part of the nation's oldest and largest GOP volunteer organization, the National Federation of Republican Assemblies. We register voters, endorse conservative candidates, and dig deep to give you the truth on the big issues. We are fighting to do what Lincoln proclaimed 150 years ago. Let the people know the facts and the nation will be free. Help support the Conservative Commando Radio Show with your donation today. Log on to INRASuperPAC.com. INRASuperPAC.com.
Now hear this. Man your battle stations.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the Internet. We're coming to you live from the CCRS studios, WNJC 1360 and WIFI 1460. This is the Conservative Commandos Radio Show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos Radio Show, where the newsmakers go to be heard. You can call the Conservative Commandos Radio Show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody, and welcome, fellow patriots, and welcome once again to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show. I'm Rick Trader, coming to you live from the CCRS studios, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, the way we do Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and around the world on the Internet with our new Internet broadcast partners, CPRWorldwideMedia.com, PatriotsRide.org, VigilantLibertyRadio.us, and don't forget you can hear us anytime, day or night, from any telephone by calling 832-999-1199. And joining me today, as she usually does on Thursdays, from the battle-born state of Nevada, my very good friend, Sharon Angle. Sharon, welcome to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show.
Thanks, Rick. As always, it's a pleasure to be on the radio, especially in downtown Philadelphia, where, as everyone on our listening audience knows, I have a granddaughter that lives right there in downtown Philly, and so I'll just give a, hey, Tia.
Hey, Tia.
Good to have you listening today.
Hey, Tia, I hope you're listening today and paying attention to your grandmom. She's a wonderful lady with lots of wisdom. So, well, Sharon, we got a great show lined up for our listening audience today. How about if we run down our list of guests?
Certainly. Our first guest today will be Malcolm Klein. He's the Executive Director of Accuracy in Academia, which is a nonprofit research group reporting on bias in education. We're going to be talking about sex, lies, and women's studies, which should be very educational, if we can say that. He's going to be talking about the truth of the matter when it comes to the war on women.
All right. And in the 4 o'clock half hour, I'm going to be speaking with Sherilyn Harley LeBlanc. She's co-chairman of the Project 21 Black Leadership Network. She's also a former senior counsel to the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee. And Cheryl has written a very interesting article. The new sodium guidelines, should we take them with a grain of salt? And it looks like, Sharon, that big government is going to reach down our throats once again and pull out salt from the food we eat. So Cheryl Lynn will be joining us to talk about that.
Our final guest is Mark Tapscott. He's the executive editor of the Washington Examiner, and he oversees the daily work of the newspaper. He's written some articles that we're going to be discussing with him. The first one is banning fringe views from the media, how liberals want to deal with conservatives. So we'll see what they've got next on our First Amendment rights with Mark Tapscott.
All right, so we got a great show lined up. So, Sharon, what's on your radar screen this week, my friend?
Well, I suppose the thing that's been on everybody's radar, of course, is the alien children that are the unaccompanied alien children that are coming across our borders. I was actually in San Diego this past week watching that whole incident happen there in Murrieta, which is in San Diego County, and also what was going on at the border there at Chula Vista, where one of the border patrolmen actually got scabies from some of those illegal aliens that were coming through. They had 40 cases of scabies, and one of the border patrolmen got actually caught it. So we were just there with that whole issue. And I'm sure that it's really on everybody's radar. But you and I actually talked about this a couple of 3 weeks ago, I guess now, when we talked about the article that went out. Actually, it was a vendor notification from the federal government, fedbizops.gov, asking for vendors who would be able to take care of children 24/7 for 365 days a year. 65,000 of these children they were expecting, and this was way back in January. So you and I were talking about how the government knew, Obama knew, they were preparing for this, and now it's really happening. And, of course, Murrieta has come out to protest this. Their citizens are saying, not here. why are they coming here? And I guess we're asking those same questions. Why not Mexico? If Mexico is allowing them to come into trains, maybe they should be the sanctuary country rather than coming all the way up on our borders. Why aren't our borders secure? Let Mexico take care of it.
Well, in fact, 3/4 of these children coming here are from Central and South America, Sharon. That means that they have to travel through Mexico. You know, now Mexico's a pretty big country. It's not like coming up I-95 and passing through the state of Delaware, you know, where you have about 12 or 15 miles of Interstate 95 going through Delaware. Mexico is a big country. And so you would have to think that these children coming up from Central and South America are being aided by Mexicans. See, Sharon, if we would just...
Right. So why, if they're already aiding them, maybe they should just stay there. But I think the other thing that's kind of unconscionable, Rick, is that these are unaccompanied children. And they're supposed to be coming here to relatives. Then why is the government advertising for vendors to take care of these children? If they've got someone here that's wanting to take care of them already, why does the government need to have vendors 24/7, 365 days a year to take care of these children? And, you know, I just can't imagine what parent would put their child on a train to travel that kind of distance to a foreign country where they don't know the language, where they're not even sure who's going to meet them at the other end, where we've had troubles with children being abused and taken advantage of through human trafficking and all kinds of horrible things that go on. What parent would do that to their child, would send their child on a trip like that, not knowing what the end consequence might be for their children, or whether they would ever see their children again? I just can't imagine it, Rick. I just can't imagine it. It's such a risky thing for children.
Well, you know, Sharon, you said put them on a train. I think putting them on a train would probably be the luxurious way to travel for a lot of these children. Why do I think, Sharon, that a lot of these kids are coming up in the backs of trucks and
with coyotes?
Yeah. Coming up on backs of trucks and buses and cars, and
even
you know,
more questions about what's going on really here. And then, of course, Obama is now coming out with some kind of a campaign, an ad campaign that says you'd be safer if you stayed at home.
Yeah.
Only spending $1 million.
Well, also Obama wants...
Is this a sanctuary situation, or is there something else going on here?
Yeah, Obama has asked Congress for $3.7 billion, billion with the B, $3.7 billion to deal with these children at the border. We had a guest on our show yesterday, Sharon, that pointed out that would be $71,000 per child. $71,000 per child. And he said it would cost about $250 to fly them home first class. Okay? But that's, you know, this is big government Obama's way of dealing with things. Oh, we'll just throw more money at it. We'll just throw more money at it. And you know darn right well, Sharon, he has no intention at all of ever sending those children home. He sees these children as potential Democrat voters. He knows that letting these children in are also going to mean letting their mothers in, their fathers in, their brothers, their sisters, their aunts, their uncles, their cousins, another 50 million Democrat voters. And that's what they're looking for with this border crisis, Sharon.
What may be interesting to you, Rick Trader, because it is interesting to me and a little, and I know she'll be on the show tomorrow. I believe she co-hosts with you, and she is an immigration attorney that specializes in how people can come legally into this country, and if you have gotten here illegally, how you can change that into a legal status. So she really is very informed on our law, and it's interesting to me, Rick Trader, that these children, if they do have relatives in this country, they already have a legal way to come into our country.
Yeah. Well, Sharon, my solution, I have a couple of real quick and easy solutions for this. Number one, you shut down our borders. I mean, totally shut down our borders to both legal and illegal immigration until it is fixed, until the problem's fixed. That's number one. That's the number one thing you do. You shut down the borders. Then we have to deal with Mexico. And one of the ways we deal with Mexico is cut off any aid, any foreign aid, any travel, any trade, anything going across our border with Mexico. You shut it down. You absolutely shut it down. And then,
but at least
one last thing.
Rick, if you would shut down the foreign aid commensurate with the cost, if it's going to cost us $71,000 per child for this migration, then we should exact that amount out of the aid that we give to these countries where these children are coming
you just
from.
You just shut it off, Sharon. Just shut it off. And then another step you make, okay? You shut off travel and transportation between the two countries. If you do that, if you take those steps, Sharon, Mexico will howl and they will stop the trafficking from coming across their borders. Hey, Sharon, we are up against the break. We're going to take a break right now. And you're listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and Rick Trader, coming to you live from the CCRS studios. That of WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia. The way we do Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern. And around the world on the internet. Check out our internet broadcast partners, CPRWorldwideMedia.com, PatriotsRide.org, VigilantLibertyRadio.us. Don't forget you can hear our show anytime, day or night, from any telephone by calling 832-999-1199. Today's show, like all our shows, is brought to you by the First Amendment, and it is protected by the Second.
Oh, how I'm longing for the day when I'm back at Orchid Bay, where the silver water glistens in the sun.
When is the last time you raced a small boat across wide open water? Tired of snow, traffic jams, cold weather? You need a refreshing change of scenery, a world away. The Bahama Islands have vacation rental homes and apartments. Enjoy spectacular nature in the Abacos Islands. Enjoy refreshing Caribbean beauty, fishing, snorkeling, scuba, the beach. www.enjoyabaco.com. That's ABACO. Enjoyabaco.com.
As I sail across the sea of Abaco, the smiling coast I know, only one more mile to go.
Enjoyabaco.com.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811, PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today, the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Biden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittlesportshop.com.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
And this is the Conservative Commandos Radio Show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader. And if you'd like to hear a repeat broadcast of today's show tomorrow afternoon, log on to vigilantlibertyradio.us. And at 5 p.m. when our live broadcast ends, if you'd like to hear a repeat broadcast of yesterday's show, log on to cprworldwidemedia.com. That's cprworldwidemedia.com. And don't forget, you can hear our show anytime, day or night, from any telephone by calling 832-999-1199. Now, there's no extra charge for this call, but if you're calling from a phone that you pay long-distance charges, it will appear on your bill. So, be forewarned, call from a phone that you have unlimited access. Sharon, our good buddy Debbie Wasserman Schultz is at it again. She made a comment over the weekend on one of the news channels like MSNBC that I saw, that I wanted to jump out of my seat and jump down her throat. Because she starts in, and we're going to play this in a second or two, but she talks about the long arm or the big arm or the arm of big government Republicans reaching into the bodies of women. And this all is over contraception and abortion. And so, how about if we play that, Brett, that first cut? Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
It's very clear to American women, yet again, that Republicans want to do everything they can to have the long hand of government and now the long hand of business reach into a woman's body and make healthcare decisions for her. That's totally unacceptable. This election, the election in 2016, particularly, here's we can underscore for American women why who we elect president and who controls the Congress is so significant for American women. Republicans want to constrict and restrict women's choices, and Democrats want to make sure that women have the ability to make their own choices.
Well, hey, Sharon Engel, how about if you let everybody make their own choices? Let's start with the kind of light bulbs we use in our home, or the type of washing machines we use to wash our clothes, or the kinds of cars we drive, or the gas we burn in those cars, or the food we eat, or the medical care that we buy, or the medical care insurance that we buy. How about the big arm of the Democrat and liberal parties that have been reaching down the throats of Americans for years, trying to force feed us with all the stupid liberal ideas that they have. Sharon Engel, it makes me laugh that you got Debbie Wasserman Schultz all of a sudden is against big government. What a joke.
She's not against big government. She's against Hobby Lobby. This is all just a thin veneer over the true agenda, which is actually no choice at all, which is really what you're pointing out when you talk about all the places the Democrats have tried to take our choice away. And in this area, when Hobby Lobby said, we'll give you 16 choices out of 20, but we just cannot stomach the 4 choices that kill children, you can have the other 16 choices. If you want to do those other 4, you're on your own. We're not paying for that. That's basically what Hobby Lobby said. We'll give you 16, but not the 4 that offends us, that we just don't want to pay for, and we won't pay for. And they didn't say to their employees, you can't have those. They just said, we're not paying for it. So this is the interesting thing, that the Democrats have now taken a vow, if you will. Not just Debbie Wasserman Schultz, but Harry Reid has also vowed that he's going to counter the ruling of the 5 white men. That Supreme Court ruling that said Hobby Lobby is completely within their rights to refuse to support this stuff, to refuse to support killing of children. That's completely within their right. Harry Reid says, "Oh no, that's wrong. We've got to come against that. It's clear," he says. "It's just clear that they are wrong. He is right, and he's going to counter that ruling. He's going to pass some kind of legislation that will actually change that ruling." It's just fascinating to me. As you said, it's not about choice here. It's about their agenda, and they're using it once again to promote their agenda.
Sharon, I would like to know where in the Constitution that says you have the right to life, liberty, and free birth control. Where is it? Where is it? Where does it say in the Constitution that you have the right to life, liberty, and free birth control? Now, Sharon,
it must
let's
be
be
the
adult.
Democrat Constitution someplace.
Must
Maybe
be.
it's in Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky. We just need to read fine print.
Well, that's not in my Constitution, okay? You know, Sharon, let's be adult here, okay? I enjoy sex. I think most people enjoy sex. But I don't want to have to pay for somebody else to enjoy sex. I don't want to have to pay for somebody else's orgasm. That's number one. Number two, let's talk about women's health issues. There are far more women's health problems from women having sex than women not having sex. Okay? So maybe the solution is, like our friend Foster Fries said, okay, the best birth control pill is an aspirin that costs 10 cents that a lady squeezes between her knees, okay? Why is it that, and the other thing, Sharon, birth control is cheap. Costs about $10 a month for the pill, okay? $10 a month for the pill. Why does this have to be forced down the throats, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, of all Americans to pay for so you can have an orgasm? I hope I'm not embarrassing anybody out there, but that's the way it is.
The issue, of course, Rick, we had Steve Bass on who talked about how we win this war in the elections, and one of the top things was this fight for life. And he said the reason that the Democrats are so married to the abortion industry, the killing of babies industry, is because of the money that it brings in. He pointed out that Planned Parenthood alone brings in over $450 million a year in abortion money. That's what they get for killing children. And that's not including the funding that they get from the federal government. This is a money maker for the Democrat Party. It goes into their campaign coffers. That's what Steve Bass pointed out when we interviewed him. And it seems to be true. Their poster child here in Nevada, and I know many people have seen this. Harry Reid's pick for Nevada's lieutenant governor is a woman named Lucy Flores. Lucy Flores, at age 16, is proud that she had an abortion. She's saying, you know, it would have been better if I could have used contraception, but I just didn't know about contraception when I was 16 years old. Well, hello, Lucy. What are you doing? As Rick, you pointed out, what are you doing not abstaining from sex if you're only 16 years old? Why are we having teenagers involved in sexual activity? You know, that just is an amazing feature of our society. And in a book that David Barton wrote, it was actually his first book, David Barton, founder of Wall Builders, wrote America, to Pray or Not to Pray. And he points out that when America took prayer out of schools in a decision in 1962, June the 25th, sexually transmitted diseases went up exponentially from that point.
Wow. Hey, Sharon, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're up against a break. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. It was your rant anyway.
Yeah, that's all right. And you are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader, coming to you from the CCRS studios, WNJC 1360 in Philadelphia, the way we do Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern, and around the world on the internet. Check out our internet broadcast partners, CPRWorldwideMedia.com, PatriotsRide.org, VigilantLibertyRadio.us. Don't forget to check out our websites, ConservativeCommandosRadioshow.com and CCRShow.com. Two different sites, different information on each one of them. Please don't go away. Sharon and I will be back with our first guest, Malcolm Klein.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811. PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
Oh, how I'm longing for the day when I'm back at Orchid Bay, where the silver water glistens in the sun.
When is the last time you raced a small boat across wide open water? Tired of snow, traffic jams, cold weather? You need a refreshing change of scenery, a world away. The Bahama Islands have vacation rental homes and apartments. Enjoy spectacular nature in the Abacos Islands. Enjoy refreshing Caribbean beauty, fishing, snorkeling, scuba, the beach. www.enjoyabaco.com. That's ABACO. EnjoyAbaco.com.
As I sail across the sea of Abaco, smiling 'cause I know only one more mile to go.
EnjoyAbaco.com.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Viden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
The Obama attack on our Constitution continues. Log on to INRASuperPAC.com and join J.D. Manier and Christina Lamb and hundreds of Reagan conservative commandos who demand our country return to its founding documents and principles. We are part of the nation's oldest and largest GOP volunteer organization, the National Federation of Republican Assemblies. We register voters, endorse conservative candidates, and dig deep to give you the truth on the big issues. We are fighting to do what Lincoln proclaimed 150 years ago. Let the people know the facts and the nation will be free. Help support the Conservative Commando Radio Show with your donation today. Log on to INRASuperPAC.com. INRASuperPAC.com.
Now hear this. Man your battle stations.
You can call the Conservative Commandos Radio Show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
And welcome back to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the CCRS studios, WNJC 1360, Philadelphia, our flagship station, where we come to you Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern. Good to see Danny Curtis is listening today. And Danny Curtis, I'm not making any World Cup jokes. To me, the World Cup is a joke in and of itself. So we're not going to talk about the World Cup here. But Sharon Angle, we do have our first guest with us, and will you please make the introduction?
Certainly will. Our first guest is Malcolm Klein, who's the Executive Director of Accuracy in Academia, a nonprofit research group reporting on bias in education. In that capacity, Klein serves as Editor-in-Chief of www.academia.org and edits AIA's monthly newsletter, Campus Report. He also hosts a monthly online broadcast on www.righttalk.com and is the co-author of the Real MLA Style book and has written for a variety of publications, including USA Today, Crisis Magazine, the American Enterprise Organization, Trends, Human Events, the Washington Times, the National Catholic Register, and many others. Now, welcome to Conservative Commandos Radio Show.
Thank you, dear lady, and thank you, Rick.
Well, we're so excited to have you on, Mel, because this topic is really about the war on women, and you have a conservative university with your project Accuracy in Academia, and you're offering a course. Can you talk to us a little bit about those courses that you're offering?
Yes. Here's what happens. The war on women was invented out of whole cloth in women's studies courses. You've got these at every university, and we've been covering them for years. Now, the verbiage out of these courses could fill the Library of Congress several times over. The factual content could fit on a Post-it note. But we decided we'd tackle the most glaring factual inaccuracies in them in this 6-part course taught by a stellar array of instructors, including Diana Furchtgott-Roth, who's a economist with the Manhattan Institute and a former Undersecretary of Labor, and Hadley Heath Manning from the Independent Women's Forum, who's done a lot of work on health care. And among the things we found are that, when it comes to the gender pay gap, for example, it's not 77 cents in the dollar. It's more like 97 cents in the dollar. It might be nothing. When it comes to health care, Contra Sandra Fluke, or however you pronounce her last name, the number one concern of women on health care is not contraception, free contraception. It's stress, heart, actually much the same as the number one health care concerns of men. Before I keep blathering on, do you have other questions?
Well, I was wanting to go to that next topic that you just opened up. You said that among your findings, free contraception doesn't even rate among the top 3. What are the top 3, and why are we so focused on contraception?
The media is. But actually, when you go to the health quarterly journals, not particularly right-wing publications, or right-wing publications at all, it's stress, heart, longevity, it's about what... Well,
I would think cancer would be right up there, breast cancer.
Cancer is up there. Cancer is up there,
yeah.
Yes.
So why contraception? Why are we making a big deal like this is the only health issue that women have? Or that it is even a health issue?
No, it isn't. It isn't. The media fixates on it, and academics fixate on it, and activists like Sandra Fluke fixate on it, but the actual medical community, medical literature does not.
Well, does even the American public, women in America, do they fixate on it, or is this just, as you say...
This is what polls of American women show. You know, that it is not ranking among their top 5 concerns. Cost is another thing. The cost of health care and the actual delivery of emergency care, the actual delivery of care. In other words, all the cost of premiums also rank up there, which probably contributes to the stress in the heart as well.
Certainly. Well, in your course studies, you're deconstructing women's studies in colleges. Now, when you say deconstructing women's studies, how do we do that? I mean, it seems like they're going to be teaching this stuff anyway. So what do you teach in that course to help us deconstruct these women's studies?
Well, that's why we went to actual women to teach the course. You know, and very accomplished ladies at that, I might add. So that within that course, then they're going to teach the real facts. Are they going to teach us how we can go into colleges and debunk what's being taught there? Well, here's what's interesting. What we do at the end of every course, just straight up and down on the facts contained in the course, and there are 6 of them, and I believe 5 are up now, is we have a quiz. You know? So what I'm dying to see is how many people who've been through women's studies courses take the quiz. And we're getting a fair amount of traffic now, so we don't have quite the results yet. And, quite frankly, fail.
Well, it's interesting to me that there is this agenda out there, as you said, that this has become the big issue. Talk to us a little bit about the Hobby Lobby decision and where we're going politically with this so-called war on women.
Oh, that is definitely not going away, and it's kind of interesting, too, because you can make as much war on conservative women as you want. You know.
Of course, that's not their take on it now. You know, their take is not that they're making war on conservative women like you and I know is exactly what's going on. Their take is that Republicans are making war on women by denying them something that is like a constitutional right to them. Is that not correct?
Yeah, which is, and that's their read on this Hobby Lobby case. But it's interesting because in the Hobby Lobby case, for example, that came down after we'd pretty much wrapped the courses, but we may do a follow-up on it. You know, they actually do provide free contraception for their employees. They just don't provide the one that's an abortifacient.
Right.
That's abortion-inducing.
We're talking to Malcolm Klein, who's the Executive Director of Accuracy in Academia. Malcolm, can you stay through a break? We have a break coming up, and we'd like you to stay through that break. Could you do that for us?
Yeah.
Okay. We are coming up on a break, and after the break, Rick's going to be playing our Debbie Wasserman Schultz audio again, and we'll get Malcolm's take on that audio. If you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show at 10:10 this evening Eastern Time, log on to www.patriotsright.org for a broadcast of yesterday's Conservative Commandos radio show at 5 p.m. this evening. Please go to www.cprworldwidemedia.com and click on the Listen Live link. And you can also listen to a repeat broadcast of today's show tomorrow afternoon by going to www.vigilantelibertyradio.us. Please click on that live link as well. You're listening to Conservative Commandos radio show, and we'll be right back after this break.
Oh, how I'm longing for the day when I'm back at Orchid Bay, where the silver water glistens in the sun.
When is the last time you raced a small boat across wide open water? Tired of snow, traffic jams, cold weather? You need a refreshing change of scenery, a world away. The Bahama Islands have vacation rental homes and apartments. Enjoy spectacular nature in the Abacos Islands. Enjoy refreshing Caribbean beauty, fishing, snorkeling, scuba, the beach. www.enjoyabaco.com. That's ABACO. Enjoyabaco.com.
As I sail across the sea of Abaco, smiling 'cause I know only one more mile to go.
Enjoyabaco.com.
Hi, this is Bob Viden, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Viden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittlesportshop.com.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
And welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader. And a program note, if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of yesterday's show at 5 p.m. when our live broadcast ends, log on to cprworldwidemedia.com. And you can hear a rebroadcast of today's show tomorrow afternoon at vigilantlibertyradio.us. Don't forget you can hear our show anytime, day or night, from any phone by calling 832-999-1199. And our guest this segment is Malcolm A. Klein. He's the Executive Director of Accuracy in Academia, and they're a part of Accuracy in Media group that we've had on our show many times. And Mel and Sharon, before I bring you back on the air, I want to once again play this clip of Debbie Wasserman Schultz, congressman from Florida. She's also the head of the Democratic National Committee, talking about the Hobby Lobby decision and also how the big arm of Republican government is reaching into the bodies of women. So, Brett, play that clip.
It's very clear to American women, yet again, that Republicans want to do everything they can to have the long hand of government and now the long hand of business reach into a woman's body and make healthcare decisions for her. That's totally unacceptable. This election, the election in 2016, particularly, here's we can underscore for American women why who we elect president and who controls the Congress is so significant for American women. Republicans want to constrict and restrict women's choices, and Democrats want to make sure that women have the ability to make their own choices.
All right, and I want to welcome back to the show Malcolm A. Klein. Malcolm, thanks for holding through the break. We appreciate your time.
Ow.
So, Malcolm, there was Debbie Wasserman Schultz talking about the long hand of Republicans and businesses reaching into the bodies of women. I wanted to get your comment on that.
Wow. It's so amazing, you know. First off, it's a misread of the Hobby Lobby's policies. The Supreme Court decision, you know, and also I'm just mystified that there's a voluntary employer-employee relationship when you accept the policies at a company you work for, like Hobby Lobby, that they have a big problem with, but they have no problem with actual mandates strictly enforced from the federal government. You know, it's like what my old mentor, M. Stanton Evans, said, liberals don't care what you do as long as it's compulsory.
You know, Mel, you talk about the voluntary relationship between businesses and employees. But again, you know, it's almost like people have this constitutional right to be employed, and that once they're employed by a company to have all kinds of demands. But, you know, Mel, in our first segment, Sharon and I were talking about it's almost like birth control is now a constitutional right. For women, that is. But what about men? Where is their responsibility in birth control? Gee, my uncles used to teach me that it was up to a guy to buy the birth control, right? When you went out on a date. But now, big government wants the taxpayer to be responsible for people's, what should be individuals' responsibility.
It's absolutely amazing, and at no point do the media ever mention, you know, that what was in question was actually never even contraception, but abortifacients, abortion-inducing contraceptions. By the way, have you noticed that they don't like to use the word abortion anymore?
You're right, it's getting rarer and rarer.
Oops. Reproductive rights.
My wife always says that verbal engineering always precedes social engineering. Mel, and you know, you and Sharon were talking about women's health issues, such as cancer and things like that. But, you know, we also need to bring into the what also is being covered up, Mel and Sharon, is what about venereal diseases? I think right there you have another women's health issue that's being perpetuated by the idea of birth control and also sex out of monogamy or out of a marriage. But they don't want to talk about that either, Mel. They just want to talk about how it is government's responsibility to take care of every little facet, not just government, but big business now is also being seen as you've got to take care of women's health issues, as they call them. So, your thought on that, Mel?
These are the same people that don't like abstinence education.
Well, you know, sure. Also, during the first segment, do you remember when Foster Freeze, he got into a little bit of trouble when he said his idea of birth control cost 10 cents. It was a bare aspirin put between the knees of a lady. You know, I think something also should be said for abstinence in this, Mel, don't you?
Yeah, but that should be a local issue for schools, and not a federal one. You know, we're putting too many layers between consumers and the government, but that should be decided locally by local school boards, whether they want it or not, rather than mandated above one way or the other.
Sharon, and with that, I'll throw it back to you.
Okay. Well, I'm wondering about this. We had a book written a long time ago, actually in 1983. It was one of David Barton's first books, called America, to Pray or Not to Pray, and he had some interesting statistics that just shows that a moral nation, which is what one of our founders said, that our Constitution is not adequate to govern any but a moral and religious people. I notice that you often write articles for the National Catholic Register, which has been a very strong voice when it comes to the abortion issue. And what we've seen since 1963, when they took, actually 1962, when they took prayer out of school, is a exponential rise in sexually transmitted diseases, exponential rise in pregnancies among unwed girls, birth rates for unwed girls, premarital sex, we talked about that one, down to where there were less than 5 girls in 1955 getting pregnant at the age of 15. And now it's up over 30 in every 100. 15-year-olds are getting pregnant. Single-parent households, unmarried couples, divorce rates went up exponentially. It just seems like this whole thing kind of exploded when we kicked God out. What do you think, Malcolm? What can we make a case for a moral society on this issue, or do you think we've advanced beyond that there's no place for morality and we shouldn't even talk about it in political circles?
Well, that gets into Mona Charon's course in the failures of feminism, where she shows that the feminists have been trying to dismantle the very laws that have protected women throughout the ages, that took ages to build. Laws on marriage, for example. So you might be onto something.
We're speaking with Malcolm A. Klein. He's the executive director in Accuracy in Media. Hey, Mel, could you tell us or tell our audience where they could go for more information on Conservative University and your Support a Student program?
Yes. You can go to www.conservativeuniversity.org. And you can also link to it through our main website, www.academia.org.
Mel Klein, I want to thank you so much for joining us today on the Conservative Commandos radio show. And you know what, Mel? We need a lot more things like Conservative University to get our side out there, to get our word out there, to combat this side of the left.
Everybody needs to be better informed than they are.
All right. Malcolm A. Klein, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, and for all you do.
Thank you, Mel. You too.
Bye now.
All right, Sharon, and that was very interesting. That was Malcolm A. Klein. He's Executive Director of Accuracy in Academia, and it's part of Accuracy in Media speakers that we have on here on the Conservative Commandos radio show. But this is an online, these are online classes that you can take. They've got some great speakers. They got Karen Agnes, Star Parker, Dana Roth, Hadley Heath Manning, a lot of people who we've actually had here on the Conservative Commandos radio show as guests.
Yeah, that's great. I would encourage people to go and look and see what there is to offer, because we know that most of what's going on in our society is coming through academia, and they are trying to change our children. That's why, of course, they hit right at schools and prayer. They knew that if they could get God out, it wouldn't be too long before they could get their whole agenda in.
All right, Sharon, with that, we're going to take a break, and you are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader, coming to you live from the CCRS studios. WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia. The way we do Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, around the world on the Internet via our Internet broadcast partners, CPRWorldwideMedia.com, PatriotsRide.org, VigilantLibertyRadio.us. Don't forget you can hear our show anytime, day or night by calling 832-999-1199. Please don't go away. Right on the other side, we're going to be speaking with Sherlyn Harley Laban.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811, PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
Oh, how I'm longing for the day when I'm back at Orchid Bay, where the silver water glistens in the sun.
When is the last time you raced a small boat across wide open water? Tired of snow, traffic jams, cold weather? You need a refreshing change of scenery, a world away. The Bahama Islands have vacation rental homes and apartments. Enjoy spectacular nature in the Abacos Islands. Enjoy refreshing Caribbean beauty, fishing, snorkeling, scuba, the beach. www.enjoyabaco.com. That's ABACO. Enjoyabaco.com.
As I sail across the sea of Abaco, smiling 'cause I know only one more mile to go.
Enjoyabaco.com.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Viden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittlesportshop.com.
The Obama attack on our Constitution continues. Log on to INRASuperPAC.com and join J.D. Manier and Christina Lamb and hundreds of Reagan conservative commandos who demand our country return to its founding documents and principles. We are part of the nation's oldest and largest GOP volunteer organization, the National Federation of Republican Assemblies. We register voters, endorse conservative candidates, and dig deep to give you the truth on the big issues. We are fighting to do what Lincoln proclaimed 150 years ago. Let the people know the facts and the nation will be free. Help support the Conservative Commando Radio Show with your donation today. Log on to INRASuperPAC.com. INRASuperPAC.com.
Now hear this. Man your battle stations.
You can call the Conservative Commandos Radio Show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
And welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader. Program note for a rebroadcast of yesterday's show at 5 p.m. this evening. Please log on to cprworldwidemedia.com. And tomorrow afternoon, you can hear a rebroadcast of today's show at vigilantlibertyradio.us. Don't forget you can hear our show anytime, day or night, by calling 832-999-1199. And joining us now is Sherlyn Harley-Laban. She is the co-chairman of the Project 21 Black Leadership Network. She is a former senior counsel to the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee, and she also previously served as a political appointee in the George W. Bush administration. And as a spokesman for the National Republican Committee. Sherlyn, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Always great to be with you, my dear.
Great to have you with us. Sorry, I took a swallow of tea just before I started talking, and it sort of went down the wrong hatch. So I apologize for that. But Sherlyn, once again, the big hand of government, the hand of big government, is reaching into our bodies to pull out one of the nutrients that we all need, and that is salt. And you recently wrote about it in an article entitled, "The New Sodium Guidelines, Should We Take Them with a Grain of Salt?" So, Sherlyn, what is big government proposing to do to us now?
Well, what they want to do, last month, Margaret Hamburg, who is the administrator at the FDA, she said that new voluntary guidelines regarding sodium consumption are coming soon. We don't know exactly when, but they're coming soon. And here's what their goal is. They want to reduce, across the board, the amount of sodium we consume. Everyone in the United States consumes on a daily basis. Now, I got to tell you something, Rick. I'm all for that. I think that's a great idea. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. There are people who have hypertension, diabetes, obesity, and a wide assortment of other problems. And they are quite correct. Those people should lower their sodium levels, right?
Right.
But there are other people who should not be lowering sodium levels. And in fact, if they do, it could be harmful. And let me give you an example. So I'm a mom of 2 kids. I've given birth twice. And iodine is pretty crucial, to salt, right?
Yep.
And back in the 1920s, salt producers started adding iodine to salt as a way of getting iodine in the food chain. And what you might not know, Rick, is that pregnant women are an additional risk of iodine deficiency because when the baby's growing inside them, they've got increased thyroid production, right?
Right.
And this thyroid production is necessary for healthy brain development. And once the baby is born, breastfeeding moms need higher iodine intake because it's a necessary nutrient for the baby to grow, right? And here's another thing. You've got all these conflicting studies, right? So we've got these bureaucrats who are probably sitting in windowless offices coming up with these policies, that go across the board. But, Institute of Medicine also came out with a study, and they concluded that further reducing salt intake may increase health risks for certain groups. Okay, this makes sense, right? Because we live in a big country with a lot of different ethnic groups, a lot of different body types, and a wide variety of health issues. What may be good for some, Rick, may simply not be good for someone else.
Well, Sherlyn, and, that's what... 2 things. Number one, thank you for the education on iodine and salt. I never knew why it was there, and I never knew how important it was to be there, to be honest. And, I think that a lot of people hear about, salt is bad to you, it gives you high blood pressure, this, that, and whatever. But they're forgetting how important salt is to our bodies and how important salt is in our lives. And you write in your article, and let me read this, quoting you, What troubles me, however, is the one-size-fits-all prescription that our government and others advocate. And across-the-board sodium reduction for all Americans across the country may not be the best advice. And Cheryl-Lynn, you're right about these one-size-fit-all prescriptions that big government has for everything, and we see it in everything nowadays, from healthcare to education. The nanny states to forget that God gave us a brain to think for ourselves.
Right. I mean, and I understand that with restaurant food and food preparation, that this is pretty key. You know, there's a lot of sodium that's used. But here's the other thing. You know, salt is added. To our food for taste reasons. But here's another thing. Salt is also used as a preservative in foods and prevents bacteria growth, right? I mean, and our food, think about this, Rick. Our food that's produced in, say, New York is shipped on a truck to California, and it's shipped around the world to feed lots of people in third world countries. Here's what I want to know. Have the bureaucrats thought through how reduction in sodium is going to affect food preparation, food transportation, and other consumer costs, right?
Well, I agree with you.
Right?
Now, Cheryl-Lynn, what they're going to want to do...
Down to families?
Well, Cheryl-Lynn, what they're going to do is they're going to take salt out of food as a preservative. Then they're going to have to find another preservative to put in the food. And that's probably going to mean everybody's going to pay more at the supermarket. And then watch, in a few years, remember saccharin, right? Okay, saccharin was a replacement for sugar because sugar is bad for you. Well, then there was this claim out, whoa, saccharin causes cancer, which they found out later it doesn't do. So these new preservatives that they'll put in food, you watch, in a few years, there will be a warning about them also.
Well, and here's the other thing. I'll give you another example of this. This ban on trans fat, right? So they banned trans fat, but what they didn't give enough thought to is what would be the replacement ingredient for trans fat. And so one of the ingredients they thought of, and I'm drawing a blank on what it is, one of the ingredients that they thought of using is something that they stopped using in the 1970s because they got lots of complaints from environmentalists that said, oh, you can't have this particular ingredient in the food chain, right, in the ecosystem, right? So they banned trans fat, but nobody gave any thought to what you're going to substitute it with.
Well, that government does this. Government does this. Cheryl-Lynn, for instance, in fuels, they start out by saying, well, you got to take the lead out of gasoline, okay? And then they found out the replacement for lead was more toxic to the environment than the lead was. So then they say, well, now you got to put ethanol in the gasoline. So they take up to 1/2 of our corn crop to make ethanol, which is not as efficient a source for power for engines that gasoline is. So that jacks up fuel costs. Cheryl-Lynn, I wanted to go back to something you said in the early part of our interview with you today. One of the things that scares me about all this is when they use the term voluntarily, okay? Because that to me, that's just the first step in saying mandatory.
That's a euphemism for mandatory is coming. And industry knows this. When they say voluntary, it's voluntary for a hot minute, and we've seen this, right? Voluntary for a hot minute, and then all of a sudden it becomes mandatory. And, we've seen how these things backfire, right? Because we saw what Mayor Michael Bloomberg was doing, and I might add a little kind of political bent to this. This woman who is now implementing the voluntary guidelines in sodium at the national level, she, and this is someone, not Margaret Hamburg, but someone who works in her office, this particular person whose name escapes me, she worked most recently for Michael Bloomberg. So there you have it.
That's also scary.
New York City level, responsible for implementing this, and now she's come, down to D.C., and now she's trying to implement it, at the national level. And we saw, the problems that it created because, for example, as we know, salt being a preservative, Mayor Bloomberg said that companies and food kitchens had to limit the amount of sodium that they use in the food that they're feeding the homeless.
You mean Big Gulp, Michael Bloomberg, the guy that wanted to ban sodas over 20 or 16 ounces? That Michael Bloomberg who said, "Oh, you can't drink too much soda," is now saying, "Well, you can't have too much salt." Sherlyn, what another thing that really frightens me, in addition to this word voluntary, is the idea. Okay, in my opinion, the three most tasty foods in the world are salt, fat, and sugar. Because have you ever noticed that once you take these things out of a food product, how much like cardboard they taste?
Right. I mean, and here's the thing that I don't think people really understand. The taste of our food will significantly change, Rick.
Yes.
Significantly. And the food at the restaurants will taste different. The foods that you buy in the grocery store are going to taste different. And again, with that long-term strategic planning that I don't think these federal bureaucrats have come up with, along with saying everyone across the board needs to reduce sodium consumption. I just think that is bad. Number one, it's essentially medical advice, and I don't think they're in the position of doing that, and they should not be doing that at all.
Well, Charlene, that's what government does. It doesn't look past the end of its nose. All it wants to do is control more and more of our lives. They want to control every facet of our lives. Hey, Charlene, we got to take a break. Could you please hold through the break? I'd like to continue this with you. Also want to get Sharon Engel into the conversation. So you are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader, coming to you live from the CCRS studios, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the internet with our internet broadcast partners, CPRWorldwideMedia.com, PatriotsRide.org, VigilantLibertyRadio.us. Don't forget, check out our websites, ConservativeCommandosRadioshow.com and CCRShow.com. Please don't go away. We're speaking with Sherlyn Harley-LeBon about the government taking salt out of our lives. Be right back.
That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but I... Oh, how I'm longing for the day when I'm back at Orchid Bay, where the silver water glistens in the sun.
When is the last time you raced a small boat across wide open water? Tired of snow, traffic jams, cold weather? You need a refreshing change of scenery, a world away. The Bahama Islands have vacation rental homes and apartments. Enjoy spectacular nature in the Abacos Islands. Enjoy refreshing Caribbean beauty, fishing, snorkeling, scuba, the beach. www.enjoyabaco.com. That's ABACO. Enjoyabaco.com.
As I sail across the sea of Abaco, the smiling coast I know, only one more mile to go.
Enjoyabaco.com.
Hi, this is Bob Viden, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Viden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittlesportshop.com.
You can the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader. And a program note to hear a rebroadcast of today's show tomorrow afternoon. Please log on to vigilantlibertyradio.us. And at 5 p.m. this afternoon, if you'd like to hear a repeat broadcast of yesterday's show, log on to cprworldwidemedia.com. Our guest this segment is Sherlyn Harley-Laban. She's the co-chairman of the Project 21 Black Leadership Network, and she's a frequent guest on Fox News Channel and other national broadcast radio shows. Sherlyn, thanks for holding through the break. We do appreciate and value your time. You know, Sherlyn, as you were talking earlier, that salt is the main way for to get iodine to the thyroid gland, and it's very beneficial to pregnant women. You know, I personally will never have that problem about worrying about getting iodine, being pregnant, and things like that. But there's one thing that I personally have to do, Sherlyn. Whenever I'm working out in the yard, sweating a little bit, I have to take added salt, because if I don't, I get terrible leg cramps. And it's from lack.
Exactly. That's that potassium.
Right.
It's because you're low on potassium. That's why. Right?
Yep.
That's what that is. The leg cramps, that's because you're low on potassium, which is also tied to the electrolytes and salt intake.
Now, you know who told me that I have to take more salt? My doctor told me that, Sherlyn.
Of course your doctor did.
My doctor. Hey, Sherlyn, on the other line, I do have my co-host, Sharon Engel, and Sharon wants to get into this conversation. Sharon?
Well, I do. Sherlyn, thanks you so much for being our guest and enlightening us on the wonders of salt. We've all kind of known some of these things kind of intuitively sometimes. I think we all know that we like salt and we have a need for salt, and animals get salt licks. It's just kind of one of those things that we've always known as a dietary necessity. And as you point out, the government seems to get involved in all kinds of things. But I'm wondering why the co-chairman of Project 21, a Black Leadership Network, is getting involved in the salt issue. Why would you pick up on this, Sherlyn?
Well,
tell us what
in
Project
generally,
21 is.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I was wondering what Project 21, their what they focus on and why they're focusing on this.
Well, I'll tell you what I do focus on. I write a lot, Sharon, about nanny state regulations, okay? Whether they affect your business, whether they affect our schools, Common Core, whether they're affecting small businesses, and just the impact of nanny state regulations on our lives, our country, our families. And I consider this to fall into that category because it's big government nanny trying to tell us what to do. And I take issue with this. As a mom of 2 small children, I'm doing my best that I can to feed my children healthy food and to make the best decisions for them. And I simply just do not appreciate when the government makes these blanket recommendations to people without, a long-term strategic goal or taking in consideration in this particular matter that, not everybody should have a reduction in sodium. Some people need them. Some people with specific health issues. Some people, athletes need, the electrolytes. They don't need to reduce their sodium. And again, the instance I gave you with pregnant women. And I really think our government needs to be very careful when they make these blanket recommendations. I think it's bad policy and simply bad medical advice.
Well, in your Project 21 Black Leadership Network is not just about black issues. This is an issue of big government that's imposing on all Americans.
Exactly.
So I just wanted you to kind of expand the if you will, the focus of Project 21. It's just not on black issues. It's on American issues.
No, it's not.
And
I mean,
talk about
Project
that
21, I will. Project 21 is a network of blacks who are libertarians, conservatives, all around the country, who write about a variety of issues. Some of those issues, well, I should say many of the issues, do affect black Americans, but some of them just affect Americans all across the country. And our goal really is to provide a perspective to people in the media, in newspapers, so that they have the benefit of having another perspective.
Well, you're so right. And I think that in so many cases we find that, especially in recent years, there's a true effort to divide Americans and say, well, you know, you have your issues, we have our issues. We can't speak in one voice as Americans. And I'm really very excited about how Project 21 is speaking out on all kinds of issues. We're not saying this is a black issue. This is an American issue, and we should be concerned about big government getting involved in our salt intake.
Yes, we certainly should, and as well as all of the other nanny state regulations, whether it's, the big gulp situation in New York, because, again, what you see is some of these regulations being replicated in other cities. California and Chicago under Rahm Emanuel, they were trying to ban soda consumption. So it's just important for people to be aware of these issues and be aware and make sure that they're not coming to a neighborhood near them.
Hey, Charlene, in your article you write, and I'm quoting you, as a black woman, I'm well aware that my race has higher rates of hypertension, diabetes, and obesities than other races. I think we also need to think, Charlene, that watching your diet, exercising, and things other than just watching salt intake is also important when you're talking about hypertension, obesity, and diabetes.
Yes. And let me make note of something. There's a study that just came out through, it was the American Journal of Medicine, AJM, just came out with a study yesterday. And guess what they found? They found that individuals are not obese based on the amount of calorie consumption. The AJM discovered that people are obese based on their inability to get moving. So all this calorie counting and all this cutting back on sugar and the sodium, guess what? It's all for naught. What Americans need to do is get moving.
Well, with that, I agree with you, and I agree with Michelle Obama on that, which might surprise our audience. You know, Charlene, I think what we could take from this is something that I've said many, many times is, how about this, Charlene? Everything in moderation.
Yes, everything in moderation. And that's just, that's a common sense approach to not only your health, but to life, right?
Right. Hey, Charlene Harley-Laban, I want to thank you for joining us today on the Conservative Commandos radio show. Please leave it with this. Please tell our audience where they can go to find out more information about Project 21 and also where they can follow you and the things you write.
Sure. For Project 21, they can go to thenationalcenter.org. For all of the issues I write and talk about, they can follow me on Twitter at Harley, Harley, Laban, Lebon. They can also go to my website, harleylaban.com, and this column, as well as my media clips and other columns that I write, are all listed on my website.
All right. Again, you know what? It's been too long since we had you on. Could you put me on your email list whenever you write something? Send it out to me so we can...
Absolutely, Rick. It would be my pleasure.
Love having you
I
on.
absolutely will do that.
You know that Judy Kent does a great job of keeping me informed about the work of Project 21 in the National Center for Public Policy Research.
Thank you.
So anyway, again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you to your listeners.
All right, thank you. Hey, Sharon, there's a lot of great things that comes out of salt. And just real quickly, I would just like to read a few of these things. Salt helps retain water in the body. Our bodies rely on electrolytes, including salt, to help carry out electrical impulses that control many of our body functions. Salt stimulates muscle contraction. Salt is important to the nerves as it stimulates muscle contraction. This will also help prevent your muscles from cramping. I mentioned that on the show. Salt contains nutrients vital to the digestive system. Salt plays a primary role in the process of digestion and absorption, and the lack of salt is dangerous. A sodium deficiency is a health condition where a body fails to receive an adequate supply of sodium. Hey, Sharon, we're late on a break. We're going to go to a break right now. You're listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and Rick Trader, coming to you live from the CCRS studios, WNJC 1360, and around the world on the internet. Don't forget, write this number down, 832-999-1199, to hear the Conservative Commandos radio show anytime, day or night, from any phone. Please don't go away. Sharon and I will be right back with our next guest, Mark Tapscott.
They say I'm crazy. I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811, PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
oh, how I'm longing for the day when I'm back at Orchid Bay, where the silver water glistens in the sun.
When is the last time you raced a small boat across wide open water? Tired of snow, traffic jams, cold weather? You need a refreshing change of scenery, a world away. The Bahama Islands have vacation rental homes and apartments. Enjoy spectacular nature in the Abacos Islands. Enjoy refreshing Caribbean beauty, fishing, snorkeling, scuba, the beach. www.enjoyabaco.com. That's ABACO. Enjoyabaco.com.
As I sail across the sea of Abaco, smiling 'cause I know only one more mile to go.
Enjoyabaco.com.
Hi, this is Bob Viden, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Viden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
Now hear this. Man your battle stations.
The Obama attack on our Constitution continues. Log on to INRASuperPAC.com and join J.D. Manier and Christina Lamb and hundreds of Reagan conservative commandos who demand our country return to its founding documents and principles. We are part of the nation's oldest and largest GOP volunteer organization, the National Federation of Republican Assemblies. We register voters, endorse conservative candidates, and dig deep to give you the truth on the big issues. We are fighting to do what Lincoln proclaimed 150 years ago. Let the people know the facts and the nation will be free. Help support the Conservative Commando Radio Show with your donation today. Log on to INRASuperPAC.com. INRASuperPAC.com.
Now hear this. Man your battle stations.
You can call the Conservative Commandos Radio Show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader. And a program note, if you'd like to hear a repeat broadcast of today's show tomorrow afternoon, log on to vigilantlibertyradio.us. And at 5 p.m., when we end our live broadcast in about 25 minutes from now, if you would like to hear a repeat broadcast of yesterday's show, log on to cprworldwidemedia.com. Click on that Listen Live link. Don't forget you can hear our show anytime, day or night, from any telephone by calling 832-999-1199. Now, there's no extra charges for the call, but if you are calling from a phone where you pay long-distance charges, that long-distance call will appear on your telephone. So make sure you use a phone that you have unlimited access to. Sharon, we're trying to get a hold of Mark Tapscott. He is the executive editor of the Washington Examiner. This is Life and Live Radio, Sharon. Sometimes things work, sometimes they don't, but we are trying to get a hold of Mark. Excuse me. And Sharon, are you with me?
I surely am.
Oh, I'm
just waiting to introduce Mark to our listening audience. But since we have a few minutes, maybe we can talk about some other issues here. It's very interesting to note that our last two guests are talking about, once again, overreach of government, and especially in the sodium situation, the salt situation, but also in this war on women. The government just wants to be involved in everything. It's almost comical that we have the Democrat Party complaining about how the Republicans want to be in women's bodies. Mm-hmm. I can't think of anyone more inclined to get into every area of our life than the federal government has in the last 6 years under Obama. It's just, I feel it's exploded exponentially, as we pointed out at the beginning of the show, from they want to control our health care to our big gulps to everything that goes on in our lives.
Yeah, Sharon, one of the things that they're trying to control, and actually this started in the Bush administration, is the curly Q light bulb. They want to ban the incandescent light bulb, and they all want us to use these curly Q light bulbs. Personally, I had one of these curly Q light bulbs in the lamp that's next to my chair, from which I watch television and work on the computer and prepare the show and everything. And after a short while of having this curly Q light bulb in the lamp that's next to me, my right eye, the one that's next to that lamp, started to burn like crazy. And now I have a condition where it has affected, my eyesight is affected. I swear it's from that curly Q light bulb. I swear it's from that curly Q light bulb.
Our health is affected by these government programs, this intrusion. Here in Las Vegas, a woman died Monday, less than 2 weeks after her family went public with details about our health insurance exchange. Remember, this is the one we did.
Hey, Sharon, I'm going to have to ask you to
Why are we here?
Sharon, I'm going to have to ask you to hold that thought because we do have our guest on the line. And Sharon Engel, the honor of the introduction is yours, so take it away, Sharon.
Oh, absolutely. I am honored to introduce Mark Tapscott, who's the Executive Director of the Washington Examiner. He oversees the daily work of the newspaper's special reporting team. He was inducted into the National Freedom of Information Act Hall of Fame in 2006. Before joining the Examiner in 2006, he started and led the Heritage Foundation's Computer-Assisted Research and Reporting Boot Camp. He's formerly held editing and reporting positions with the Journal, newspapers, and the Washington Times. Welcome to Conservative Commandos radio show, Mark Tapscott.
Well, hello. How are you all?
We're good. We wanted to talk to you about a couple of articles, but the first one that caught my eye was this article called "Has 6 Years of President Obama Turned Millennials into a Bunch of Tea Partiers?" Well, I have some millennials in my family, and some of them have thought that Obama was okay. So really, what's going on with the millennials? What do you tell us about your survey and the article and what you found?
Well, actually, it was and I share your concern about that because I have a couple of millennials in my family too. The survey was done by the Reason Foundation, or for the Reason Foundation. They talked to 2,000 millennials, demographically representative, and a 3% margin of error. And what they found is these folks have, by a very marked amount, increased their belief since 2009 in 5 or 6 or 7 attitudes, such as government is wasteful and inefficient. It would be better if the Social Security system was privatized. Those kinds of things that you would expect to hear from somebody who's more conservative or a Tea Party activist than you would from somebody who is an Obama supporter. On the other hand, they also have ideas that the government should guarantee everybody a job. The government should guarantee that nobody gets hungry. Those kinds of attitudes that are typically associated with liberals. So you get this conflict among younger voters, millennial generation voters, where clearly the common sense pushes them in one direction, the direction that most of us conservatives would take, but probably the schooling that they've gotten in the public school system and in the media, in the popular entertainment culture, pushes them in the direction of liberal ideas. So
now,
it's an interesting conflict.
Yes, and we're talking about adults that are between the ages of, tell us what the millennial age range is.
Basically, it's 18 to 30, 33, that range. It's essentially the 20s is what it comes down to. And you're attributing this conflict to what they know just intuitively, like most of us do if we have any common sense, and to what they've been taught in school and what the media is putting out there. I was interested when I was talking with one of my millennials. They said they don't really watch sitcoms or movies. What they like are documentaries. And they're getting, they feel like these documentaries are factual. I was really amazed at some of the documentaries they were watching and bringing out this agenda. So it was a different form of media than I had really thought. I was thinking Bill Maher, but they're really thinking that they're being very intellectual in their opinions. How does this translate to who they're going to vote for? Well, it's not clear yet, and you put your finger on something that I think is a very important trend that hasn't gotten a whole lot of attention yet in the mainstream media, and that's precisely the growing popularity of documentaries. If you look at the film that just came out this week, America, which is Dennis D'Souza's movie about our documentary about what would the world be like if America had never taken place. I think that's going to be a growing segment of popular culture that, frankly, is
could be a very positive thing, but it can also be used to advance things on the left, such as the anti-fracking hysteria that you see in documentaries like Gasland. So it can go either way.
And that was really the one I was referring to, because I was just shocked that that documentary is now being taken as fact among this millennial generation, and they're totally anti-coal. They don't believe there's any such thing as a good coal burning facility, and it's just amazing to me, because 40% of our energy, as you know, comes out of coal. So we have this war on coal, and it seems to be within this generation where it's coming from, and it's the source is this documentary, as you pointed out.
Yeah, well, it's not just the documentary. The environmental area is one where the public schools, the teachers union-dominated schools, have been pushing the environmental agenda, if you will, for a long time, and it's presented as if it's beyond question, factual, and an accurate reflection of reality, when in fact it's not. But when all you hear is one side of an issue, it's hard to get people to understand that, well, now wait a minute, there's another entire way of looking at this that you haven't thought of yet.
We are talking with Mark Tapscott. He is our guest today on Conservative Commandos Radio Show. We have to take a break right now. Mark, can you stay with us through that break?
Absolutely.
Well, we are listening to Conservative Commandos Radio Show, and we'll be right back with our guest, Mark Tapscott, after this break.
Don't forget, you can hear a repeat broadcast of today's show tomorrow afternoon at vigilantlibertyradio.us, and you can hear our show anytime, day or night, by calling 832-999-1199 from any telephone. You're listening to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader, coming from WNJC 1360 in Philly. Be right back.
I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but
oh, how I'm longing for the day when I'm back at Orchid Bay, where the silver water glistens in the sun.
When is the last time you raced a small boat across wide open water? Tired of snow, traffic jams, cold weather? You need a refreshing change of scenery, a world away. The Bahama Islands have vacation rental homes and apartments. Enjoy spectacular nature in the Abacos Islands. Enjoy refreshing Caribbean beauty, fishing, snorkeling, scuba, the beach. www.enjoyabaco.com. That's ABACO. Enjoyabaco.com.
As I sail across the sea of Abaco, smiling 'cause I know only one more mile to go.
Enjoyabaco.com.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Viden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
You can call the Conservative Commandos Radio Show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader. And our guest this segment is Mark Tapscott. He's the executive editor for the Washington Examiner. Mark, thanks for holding through the break. We do value your time.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to share some time with you guys.
You know, Mark, when I first saw your article, I kind of jumped with a little bit of euphoria. Your article has 6 years of Obama turned millennials into a bunch of Tea Partiers. And, you know, Mark, I started reading these statistics, and it's almost like something that I thought of a long time ago. I want to go to heaven, but I don't want to die. Because some of these statistics, 73% of the millennials favor allowing private accounts for Social Security. 64% say cutting government spending by 5% would help the economy. 59% say cutting taxes would help the economy. That's on the I want to go to heaven part, Mark, but the I don't want to die part is 74% of the millennials say government has a responsibility to guarantee every citizen a place to sleep and enough to eat. 71% favor raising the federal minimum wage to $10 an hour, and 69% say it's government responsibility to provide health care to everyone. So, Mark, they want everything.
And they want it now.
Wow.
No? I mean, that sounds a little familiar to anybody, I suspect, who's a baby boomer, as I am, and who's raised kids, because that seems to be the characteristic of the generation that has, come of age with the Internet. You get instant response on the Internet, and that becomes a habitual frame of mind, and you begin to expect instant response in other areas of your life, too, including politics.
You know, Mark, when I was about 8 years old, I saw my father write a check, okay, out of a checkbook. And at that point, I was horse and pony crazy. I wanted a horse and pony like you couldn't believe. And when I saw my father writing a check for something, I says, Daddy, buy me a horse, buy me a pony. He says, I don't have money. I says, well, just write a check. Just write a check. And then he had to get me to understand that you actually had to have the cash in the bank for the check when you buy things. What's it going to take for the generation of the millennials to understand that it costs a lot of money to pay things like house and food for everyone to eat, a minimum wage of $10 an hour, and giving health care to everyone? What's it going to take, Mark?
Well, probably something very much like what it took the baby boom generation to get beyond the kinds of things that we were doing, or many of our generational cohorts were doing when we were in our 20s. There was a peace movement when we were younger that inflicted a great deal of damage in this country. A lot of the social changes that we see today began in that time period, and they've had tremendously negative consequences in a lot of areas of life. But it's been my experience, as I think it will be for many millennials, that the older you get, the more wise you become because of experience. And, those checks bounce if you don't have the funds to cover them, and there are consequences.
Mark, I never got that pony.
You didn't?
No, I never did get that pony.
You know what Ronald Reagan said about that?
What's that?
Ronald Reagan said, if you see somebody who is furiously digging in a pile of manure, they probably think that somewhere down there is a pony.
Was that me in that pile of manure? Hey, Mark, with that, I'm going to swing you back to Sharon Engel.
Well, I think you're right. At some point, Mark, common sense has to rule out. And as I look at these questions that were asked in the survey, they really are thinking about themselves. Even when they're thinking about this minimum wage, they're looking for jobs. Most of these millennials have gotten their college educations or some kind of education, and now they're having a terrible time just finding a job, and one that pays something that they can make a living on, where they don't have to live in their parents' basement apartment. So there is something to what you say about common sense overtaking them. We were talking about the media and how it influences this millennial generation. And your first article was one. It's called "Is Banning Fringe Views from the Media How Liberals Will Want to Deal with Conservatives?" What does that mean? Where are the liberals going on this? And are they somehow censoring what these millennials are hearing?
Well, I think it's not been a secret for a long time that most journalists, in the big national newspapers, daily newspapers like the Washington Post or the New York Times, and in the broadcast television newsrooms, CBS and ABC, 90% of those folks have a liberal perspective, and it's been that way for several decades. And you don't have to consciously think, now I'm going to bias the way we report this news in a particular direction. You do that without even thinking, simply by virtue of, for example, the kinds of stories that you choose to cover and those that you choose not to cover. There's an awful lot of things that people who watch Fox News, for example, know all about. The IRS scandal, for example. But you hardly ever hear about the IRS scandal on ABC or NBC.
Hey, Mark, when you wrote that story, did you have what the BBC is doing in mind, where that they're filtering anybody who is not a believer of this man-made global warming hoax?
Well, it hasn't gotten that far here in this country.
But when you wrote the story, did you have that in mind?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, that particular thing is what prompted me to write the story in the first place. Because, there is no question that there is a growing movement within the media in this country to not provide equal coverage on the dubious or the false assumption that, why report something that supposedly is false? And that's just an easy way of rationalizing biasing the news and not telling your audience all of the facts that they have a right to know.
Well, when you talk about fringe views, I don't think of the IRS scandal as being fringe news. I think that's right up there in the what people ought to know. But you're kind of classifying that as a fringe view.
No.
Tell us more about what they are.
You're misunderstanding me.
I mean that's what the media is classifying as fringe views, because we're not hearing that on the broadcast media.
That's what they do. That's what they do. Yeah. They try to make everybody who disagrees with them, you smear them as being extremist or on the fringe element, and that reduces their credibility. And that's what they've been trying to do to us for a long time.
So when you talk about fringe or marginal in your article, we're really talking about mainstream news. Is that I guess it's shocking to see how much they're really leaving out, and what other kinds of stories are they leaving out besides the IRS scandal?
Oh, believe me, there's all kinds of things that go on in this town that don't get reported that should, and that's one of the reasons why it's a very great thing. Development for folks like us who believe in individual freedom and strong America and a accurate, credible press, that we're beginning to develop alternatives to the mainstream media, like the Washington Examiner, and there are a lot of others, the Washington Free Beacon and so forth, that are providing an alternative to, you don't have to just depend on CBS anymore for the news.
Well, with that, we're going to have to stop because we have to go. But would you give us, Mark, a way for us to follow you and get the news that the broadcast media is saying fringe news, but we're saying this is mainstream? You need to know about this. Where can we follow you, Mark?
WashingtonExaminer.com.
And we just look for articles like Mark Tapscott?
Yes, indeed. And just bookmark it and make a habit of going there 4 or 5 times a day. and I guarantee you will find an awful lot of information that you won't find other places.
Mark, I want to thank you for joining us today on the Conservative Commandos radio show. We're right up against the clock. Sharon, I want to thank you for sitting in as my co-host. But for right now, we're out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you tomorrow on the radio.
Thank you for listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show. Huge thanks to our co-hosts, contributors, patrons, callers, and our friends at WNJC 1360 and WIFI 1460, where we broadcast live every Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern and 2 to 4 p.m. Central. Look for us on the internet at www.ccrshow.com. Until next time, we are the Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard.
And you're listening